Created with free version for non-commercial use.
Hi everyone. Um, my name is Tahaka, and today we begin our series on the peoples of the ancient world with the first, say, major topic being the dawn of history. So let's get to it. The history of mankind is but a part of universal history, the history of the earth, and the diverse events that have taken place within it. If the historian is a man who studies historic
Created
times
with free
today,
version for
his
non-commercial
work must
use.
be supplemented by the archaeologist who attempts to reconstruct prehistoric civilizations from our material debris, by the anthropologist who studies human races in their physical aspects, by the paleontologist who seeks to learn the history of life upon our planet from its fossil remains, by the geologist who studies Earth history from rocks, and even by the physicist and astronomer who investigate the origins of the planet itself. In recent times, a century of collaboration by these scholars and scientists has produced the outlines of a story that is marvelous and majestic beyond all the dreams of poets and theologians in previous ages. When you consider
Created with free version for
man,
non-commercial use.
he occupies only a line or two in this mighty epic, but in a sense, the whole long story is merely the story of human origins. Scientists now assign to Earth an existence covering at least 6 billion years. It's most likely more, in my opinion. The staggering immensity of this period impresses upon us the brevity of human history when compared to the whole span of the history of the Earth. Okay, let's consider a simple comparison and assume that these 6 billion years of Earth's history were compressed into 1 year's time. 125 years will most likely actually go by as 1 second. According to this timetable, mankind first appeared on Earth something over an hour ago.
Created with free
The
version for
pyramids of
non-commercial use.
Egypt were built 40 seconds ago. The Hebrews wandered into Palestine less than half a minute ago. Caesar was murdered some 16 seconds ago. Christ was crucified a little more than a quarter of a minute ago. Columbus discovered America less than 4 seconds ago, and by this same schedule, the American Republic has existed less than a second and a half in the long year of Earth history. The Earth itself has gone through an elaborate history. 4 billion years ago, it already had a solid crust, parts of which were covered with large bodies of water, and it was surrounded by an atmosphere. Its temperature was moderate. Already, forces were at work which have continued to operate within it from that day to this. Repeatedly, in
Created
the
with
ages
free
that
version for
followed,
non-commercial use.
mountain chains and lofty plateaus have been forced up by pressure from within and then have been leveled out once more by erosion. The oldest mountain ranges that now wrinkle the face of the earth, are the Urals and the Appalachians. 200 million years ago, the Appalachians rose to heights of 20,000 feet or more. Gradually, they were worn down by plateaus. Later, they were elevated another 2,000 feet before erosion carved out the mountains, which now rarely rise more than 5,000 feet above sea level. All this took place during the last 5% of geologic time. Such were the forces working upon the rocks and such the time during which they operated. Geologists have
Created
divided
with
the
free
history
version
of
for
the Earth
non-commercial
into
use.
5 great eras, each of which lasted millions of years and was terminated by a great upheaval. Eras, in turn, are subdivided into shorter cycles known as periods, which began and ended with lesser risings of the land and fallings of temperature. Our concern here is with the last 3 periods only: the Pliocene, which began about 7 million years ago and lasted for over 6 million years; the Pleistocene or Glacial, which lasted more than half a million years and ended about 20,000 years ago; and the Recent, which fills in the last 20 millenniums. During the Pleistocene or glacial period, 1/7 of the present land surface of the Earth was covered by solid masses of
Created
ice,
with free version
which
for
advanced
non-commercial
and
use.
receded repeatedly during these many millenniums. There were 4 great periods of glacial advance, each going through 2 or more phases of secondary advance and retreat. They were separated by 3 interglacial pauses, each of which lasted many tens of thousands of years. The fourth and most recent glacial advance began over 100,000 years ago, and the ice started to recede about 20,000 years ago. About 5000 BC, the European glacial front was established approximately at the point in northern Sweden where it has since remained. Well, I hope you've learned something. Really appreciate some more
Created with free version for
comments,
non-commercial use.
criticisms, and hopefully opinions on what we can do, what subjects we can do or take on, most historical, or specifically historical subjects. Thank you for listening and watching, and bye for now.
Created with free version for non-commercial use.